I get it when you're trying to upgrade a coffee setup, the temptation to go for a cheap, good enough brewer is strong. I've seen a lot of friends bring home a low-cost drip machine, only to be greeted a week later by lukewarm coffee, a clogged filter, and a constant need to refill the tiny reservoir. The regret that follows is almost immediate. They've wasted both money and the few precious minutes they have in the morning. So the question is, does a bigger, more expensive unit actually make sense, or are we just paying for a fancy label? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Wilbur Curtis Gemini Twin is the kind of equipment you usually only see behind a counter in a small office break room or a boutique coffee shop, not on a typical kitchen counter. That alone should make you pause. It's a 1.5-gallon ADS digital brewer, which basically means it can hold a decent amount of water, heat it to the proper brewing temperature, and then dispense coffee automatically. The twin part indicates you can run 2 separate brews at the same time, which is a feature you normally only get in larger, dual-head commercial machines. If you've ever had to decide between a light breakfast brew and a stronger, second-round batch for a meeting, this dual brew concept can actually cut down on wait time and eliminate the need to adjust a single pot midday. Let's talk about the everyday scenario where this machine shines. Imagine a small co-working space with a handful of freelancers. They each have different caffeine preferences. One wants a smooth, mildly roasted cup for a morning email sprint, another prefers a darker, stronger brew for a brainstorming session an hour later. With a single pot brewer, you either compromise or waste coffee by overbrewing the stronger batch. The Gemini Twin lets you set 2 separate brew strengths on the digital panel, then pull a cup from whichever side you need. It's a subtle convenience, but over the course of a week it saves a surprising amount of time and coffee beans. That said, the machine isn't a magic solution for every kitchen. Its 1.5-gallon capacity is a clear advantage for high-traffic environments, but in a typical household that brews for 4 or 5 people, you may find yourself with a large carafe of coffee that sits on the counter for far longer than you'd like. Coffee is a living thing. The longer it sits, the more it oxidizes and loses flavor. If you're the type who drinks a cup right as it brews, you'll appreciate the constant warm water and fresh brew. If you tend to let it sit for an hour or two, you might be better off with a smaller machine that forces you to brew fresh more often. Installation is pretty straightforward. The unit comes with a standard plug-in cord and a built-in water reservoir that you fill from a pitcher. There's no need for a permanent plumbing line, which is a relief if you're renting or don't want to mess with a dedicated water faucet. The digital display is clear and has basic buttons for start, stop, and strength, no overwhelming menu of settings. I tried setting both sides to a medium strength and a bold strength, and the machine handled the separate profiles without a hitch. The real hidden trade-off shows up when you start cleaning. Because the brewer has 2 separate brewing paths, you essentially have to clean twice as many parts: the drip trays, the brew heads, and the carafes. If you're not disciplined about a daily rinse and a weekly deep clean, you'll notice residue buildup sooner than you might expect. That's the practical weakness that often flies under the radar in product listings. Now, who should consider buying this? If you run a small office, a neighborhood boutique, or even a busy B&B where guests are likely to ask for different coffee styles throughout the day, the twin brew capability is a genuine time saver. It also makes sense for anyone who hosts regular meetings or events in a home setting. Think a weekend book club where you want to keep the coffee flowing without stopping to refill a small pot. The price point is higher than a typical home drip machine, so you need that level of usage to justify the expense. On the other hand, if you're a single person or a family of 2 who drinks coffee only once or twice a day, you'll probably never tap into the twin brewing or the large capacity, making that extra cost difficult to rationalize. A standard 12-cup home coffee maker would likely meet your needs with less hassle and a smaller footprint. In terms of strengths, the Gemini Twin delivers the expected commercial consistency. The water temperature stays within the optimal brewing range, the coffee extracts evenly, and the digital panel eliminates guesswork about brew time. The 2-brew design means you can keep a backup pot brewing while the first one is being poured, which is a nice touch for high-traffic spots. The 1.5-gallon capacity also means you're not refilling every 30 minutes, which is a real quality-of-life win for anyone.